Welcome to the Tazz show, guys. Welcome. This is the Orishas Explained Part 2. I am Jillian, also affectionately known as the Odd Octopus, the Word Witch. And I'm excited to be here. I'm grateful to be invited to be able to speak about the Orishas with everybody.
All right.
Love and salutations to everybody. Welcome to another show. It's gonna be an awesome one today, guys. I have a lot in store for you guys. We're gonna pick up right where we left off the first part. The first part in itself was explosive, but today we're gonna explore part two of the PowerPoint that we left behind the last time. But we have a special guest with us. Before I introduce her, I want my sister, my co-host, my partner in crime to tell everybody who she is and where they could find her because we do have the Empress, the goddess Yahsinni in the house. So, sis, can you tell everybody who you are?
Absolutely. I am Yahsinni of Yahsinni in the House. I am Denise Grant on Facebook. And you can find me, my materials, my book, and just about everything, including my jewelry, at YahsiniUniversity.com. Absolutely. Jillian, we're glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Really appreciate
This, we actually have a lot going on today. And with the sis being here, we want to make sure that we introduce her right, that we get everything together the right way, because we do have the sister, Jillian Brown. She is an octopus masquerading in human form. She's a psychonaut, an author. She's a poet. She is the word witch, as well as she is a Reiki and quantum touch healer. And before we even get started with letting her tell us who she is, let me introduce to you the word witch.
I inspire motherfuckers who act like they don't see me. They'll never admit what I do for them freely. Made me so strong, put me on a box of Wheaties. Believe me, I conjure up more spirits than a Ouija. And the spirits be excited just to meet me. They don't wanna smoke, they just keep it peachy. They be teaching, I be soaking shit up like a squeegee. Cause once your power get too big for them, call it creepy. They just jealous, codependent, know they really need me. Wanna control, hate when I show my freaky. But lately I've been feeling so fucking beastly. I'm a wolf, I guess I eat sheep. Watch them retreat, watch them bleed deep. Try to call a witch hunt and now they intrigued. They wanna meet me, ain't got no relief. I'm on the way and I ain't talking peace key. I'ma clean this shit up, I'm talking squeaky. For Texas TV, I bet now that you see me. I'ma clean this shit up, I'm talking squeaky. For Texas TV, I bet now that you see me. I'm rated R, no fucking PG. Can't fucking beat me cause I'm a straight up ET. I'm rated R, no fucking PG. Can't fucking beat me cause I'm a straight up ET. I'm rated R, no fucking
Thank
Don't
you. Oh my
take
God, that
the
is so
music
dope.
out.
Thank
Don't
you so
take
much.
the
Yo,
sister's
wow.
music out. Sis, can you please
That's
honor
amazing.
us by telling us who you are and where we could find you in?
So on Facebook, my page is under Jillian Brown. I also have a page called The Shaman's Corner, which I haven't posted to quite a while. I have a page called Odd Octopus, where you can order organ from me. I also create organ. On my Instagram is lulu.the.odd.octopussy, spelled OCTOPUSSEA, and on SoundCloud as the Odd Octopus, the Word Witch. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the invite and for the dope intro. I appreciate that. That's amazing.
Check her out on SoundCloud. The
Yes,
sister got
yes.
bars. She got bars
Thank
for
you.
days.
Thank you.
I love her song. I'm a follower. I've been following for a while. It's an honor to have you here. With the feminine energy, right along with the Empress Yahsinni. It's gonna be explosive. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate you both. And let's now address the people because we have our fans. And as always, we have our regular, like Musicland HQ82, peace and love to the brother. He's always there. He's always ready, and he's always supporting. We have the sister Yahsinni in the house, also making sure things ain't going wrong in the chat room. Uh, we have Aisha H as well. Blessings, brother Tazz. Peace and love, sis. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. We have the Empress herself, Amber Gaucher, in the building. Thank you for joining us.
Amber.
Thank you for being here. So let's start it off, sis. Can you tell us before we even start? I want to address what Aisha's saying. You know,
Thank you.
it's
Thank
one of
you.
my favorite songs from you. So she's saying very nice song. Can you tell us what inspired that song? Just because I'm curious, and I want to put you on the spot.
Well, I was telling Goddess Yassini though that right a little bit before you came in that um, I'm kind of like in shock because I didn't even realize it was in there. You know what I'm saying? Um, but for that specific song, it was literally some psychological warfare that I was going through, and people don't understand that your intuition is a weapon. It is technology. It is amazing. So I was letting them know, listen, and also don't box me in. What you feel like spirit should be, or you feel like the expression should be, sometimes what people think spirit is looking for, and perfection or piousness, it might really be searching for bold. It might really be searching for the ability to speak out and to say something, and to really bring the light. People be saying love and light. Light is information, but too much light can blind your eyes. You know what I'm saying? So if you're saying love and light, that light might not hit like love to them, but it's still the light, because the light needs to come out and the truth need to be told. So um I don't know, I was just listening to the beat, and that inspiration hit, and I started singing, I'm ready to eat, see, wait, okay. So, and then it took off from there. So um I don't know, I'm so excited that I've tapped into and located that creative ability to make music like that. That's so dope to me. And like I was saying to Goddess Yasini, I feel like those things that we did as a child, right? We'd be like, Mommy, Daddy, look, 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 singing, dancing, right? The child be like, look, 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 and do one spin. You'd be like, okay. You know what I'm saying? But that was us in alignment though. That was body, mind, and spirit all being like, look what we do. Look how it comes out. So I don't know, the more that I keep doing it and realizing, that's in there, it's becoming so much fun. It's becoming a challenge to self. It's opening up other avenues, and I'm like, okay, all right, you know.
That's right.
So
We appreciate you for sharing that with us, sis, because I'm always intrigued about the science or the history, or what it was that got that person to that song. So I appreciate you for sharing
thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Um, with that said, we have the Empress Kai the Creatress in the house. Peace and love, sis. You
Peace,
know, always around. We love you. We appreciate you. We have La Viuda Negra as well in the house, so we appreciate you.
peace, peace.
Uh, if we could get this started, let's get this started because give the people what they've been waiting for. We have the Orishas part two. Now, beforehand, on the first one, we had some technical difficulties, and because of it, I had to edit the video a little bit. So I went back to a couple of the a little further than when we stopped. So we're not gonna pick up right where we left off. We're gonna pick up before where we left off. So that way we get to do the certain parts all over again. It's not going to be the whole presentation, but especially since you're here, sis. The first part of the presentation. If it's cool with you, I would like you to read it and address it because I gave my intake the last time along with Sister Yahsinni and Brother Calico, and I would love to hear your intake in it, especially because of what the reference that it makes. All right. So with that said, you know who I am. I'm your brother Tazz. You can find me on all platforms under the Tazz Show. But you could also, if you want to help me out, I did just create a secondary channel, a backup channel under Tasmaniac TV, spelled exactly how you see it on the screen right now. So you can find me under Tasmaniac TV and the Taz. So please, 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 if you could help me out, go to Tasmaniac TV, sign up as well. This is the first time. Shout out to everybody watching under Tasmaniac TV because this is the first time that we're going live on that channel. Peace to the family. I appreciate you ladies for being with me on that. On Facebook, you can find me as Tasmaniac Wolf. You could also find me on Twitter. And as we know, you can find the Sister Yahsinni. She told you on the Yahsinni University LLC, which is her website, and on Yahsinni in the House. She also has backup channel under Yahsinni University to help the sister out. Sis, I didn't ask you. Do you have a YouTube channel, Sister Jillian?
I do. I do. It's under the Odd Octopus. I really have. I haven't
Okay,
posted to it in a while though. I'm about to get on it. I'm about to get on my stuff. I've been playing. I for
we appreciate you. We appreciate you. So sign up to the sister as well. Because she's also spitting that fire. Whether it's with her lyrics, or,
Absolutely.
physically that she has to offer as well. Show her some love and some help. So let's get started. And I want to start with your Maya. I want to go straight to the ocean where the
Oh, 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 yeah, yeah. Okay.
so let's start off with
Yeah,
your Maya. I'll let you if you could read for us real quick, sis.
sure thing. Yemaya is the Orisha of the surface of the ocean. She is the other half of Olokun, sometimes a sister and sometimes a wife, sometimes both androgynous. While Olokun is the keeper of secrets and rules over the depths of the ocean, Yemaya presides over the surface waters. Yemaya's name derives from the Yoruba words Yeye or Iya, mother, Omo, there's that, Omo, children, and is it Ija, fish, and thus literally means mother whose children are the fish. According to the Itans, Tales of the Yoruba, Yemaya is a primordial spiritual entity who was charged by Oludumare to assist Obatala with the formation of humans in Olofi's creation of earth. She is recognized as the Orisha of motherhood, aka the great mother and the queen of the sea. Life on earth would be non existent was it not for her.
Those are facts, sis. Those are facts. So when we're looking into this, was it not for? I'm sorry, I had the thing scrolling right there. Will be non-existent. Was it not for water and Yemaya, both an essential part of creation? My apologies, I had the clicker right there
No,
in the
no
way.
worries. No worries.
But so we see off the top immediately, that we had. Hold on. There we go. Then we have Yemaya, who represents the top part of the water, and her other half, Olokun, which is beneath the water. All right. We have Philly Dog OG in the building. Peace and love, brother. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you for everything you do for the community and everything that you allowed me to share in your channel as of lately. So peace and love to you, just to give some honors to the elder. So we have that, and with that said, in regards about the stories, I usually don't like to advertise for certain, but you know it's a little insufficient if it wasn't done. So when we're looking at these stories that are being that we're being told, we could see. Hold on, a second. We could find all these stories within this book. I encourage you, if you're a reader now. I do it a lot, as of lately. I encourage you guys to. This is what inspired this presentation. All right. This is not nothing new. This is not nothing that you haven't heard. This is just my perception and my understanding of what I read, what I learned, and what I'm currently embracing. These are the books that inspired my presentation. I invite you, if you choose, to go ahead and go check them out. They are great books. They are amazing in the knowledge that it brings, and I think you would enjoy them as much as I've enjoyed them. So with that said, that is Yamaya. I think I have a part two from, yes, the absolute mother. You want to take this one, Sister Yassini?
Absolutely.
And before we go, Sister Yassini, did you want? My apologies. Did you want to add something on the Yamaya part? That was rude as hell.
Yeah, just a little bit. Why Jilly was sort of snickering is because we had a whole conversation about the water and us being in the water and having scales, and it said it's not dry skin, it's scales, and we had a short conversation about exactly what Jillian was reading, and so that just goes to show you how
The synchronicity.
everything just fits together. We don't have to do a whole lot of work when we're on the same accord.
Synchronicity is crazy. I agree.
It,
I
it
agree.
really is.
So let's continue, sis. The absolute mother.
Yes. So legend says that when her waters broke, it flooded the earth, giving rise to the oceans, rivers, and lakes. The first mortal humans are said to have been created in her womb. Since all life begins in the sea, the amniotic fluid inside the womb represents the sea. The embryo, in search of change and growth, begins its journey as a fish ahead of becoming a human baby. Legend tells legend tells Yemaya manifests herself as a mermaid, half fish or snake and half human, which explains her association to Mami Wata from other African pantheons. She's also associated with Our Lady of Regla from Havana, Cuba, in the African diaspora in the Americas. So she's the eldest sister of Oshun and mother to a majority of the other Orishas. She's a master at divination, which is the practice of answers using supernatural powers. So women were banned from using such powerful magic. Yeah.
Facts, those are facts. So so we see that that this representation of the water. We already know that that when it comes to the elements, we have two elements that are that are female or represented.
Mhm.
We have water and we have earth. All right, and and to balance things out, because that's what we're looking for, is balance. We do have two other that represent the male perspective, which would be fire and earth. All right. So when we're talking about the elements, we're talking about the alchemy in between male and female. And this aspect of the absolute mother is always being represented by this flooding waters. the deep waters. The in the Bible it says it tells you in the beginning, that in the beginning there was nothing, just the waters, that the waters and the eternal darkness. It was nothing that was ever created. It was already there. It was already part of the everything. The fluid, the embryonic fluid, and the you know the they call it the nothingness, but it's not the nothingness. It's the everything. All right, because to have nothing, then there will be nothing there.
That's
But when you have everything, then you have nothing but absolute carbon or color or whatever. But what do you ladies want to add something?
right.
Well,
Go for it.
okay. No, I was just saying it's so funny that we were also mentioning how in Spanish mar, M-A-R is sea, right? And Mary Magdalene, your Virgin Mary, and that we are on maritime law, hence why you're birthed in a ward. This energy that's coming from the water, which for years, once I tapped into the sensitivity, I explained all of this is water.
Hmm.
And water has three states, right? Solid, water, liquid, and gas. And so, like how you see the people moving Tai Chi, when you tap in, you could feel that. Like it's literally, and the water is chocked full. They call it the sea of consciousness. So, um, that water breaking, even as we birth ourselves, right? And then we begin to like tap in and start to drink more water and things like that, right? It's literally a process that's happening also on the inside. So I just wanted to tie that in, that we were talking about the sea, and how cute presence that water has, and our bodies, they tell us, is made out of 60-70% water. So um definitely the connection to the elements, and to just dig in and understand what those stories, even biblically, is saying on multiple levels.
Wow, wow. I gotta say, you blew my mind with the whole Spanish mar means sea
Right.
and maritime
Yeah.
law. And I had an aha moment that I'm going to make sure that I address it in my strawman meet your strawman presentation coming up soon, and that I give you some credit for it, because I will I will be adding that part to my meet your strawman, because I hadn't thought of that. We are under the law of the matriarchal, eternal, absolute mother, but it just been put under a male perspective. But the name itself tells you that you're still under the law of the land, which is in the end, ma. But sis, what do you want to?
Right. Yeah. Speaking of Ma and the Orishas, um, a lot of people, if they haven't tried to use the Orishas like in the same conscious sense as a religious person uses their deity of choice, then you won't know for real why they're so popular. I bear witness that I was in an incident not too long ago where I did end up having to call on Yemaya or Yemaya, and it worked. So I promise you it did. I have asthma really bad at times, especially when I'm strenuous, or I knew I was overdoing it, but my asthma came down on me. I didn't have my ibuterol on me, and it was getting pretty bad. For those of you who know or who have ever had asthma or seen an asthmatic person, it can really get ugly. And because I wasn't at home and I didn't have access to my ibuterol, I wasn't forced to, but I already knew to. Oh, you're gonna have to come through today.
Mhm.
And so, I put the words out there to the mother. I didn't call on any other Orisha because I specifically wanted the mother to help me, like any child who's in trouble. And it happened. It worked.
Wow. Wow.
And
Beautiful.
that's more than just faith. That's action.
You
Oh
manifested
yeah. Oh yeah.
divine mother to provide to you a moment of clarity and a moment of help. That is
Absolutely.
that's deep. That's
And
That's good.
I could tell because normally it'll like just keep getting worse and pretty scary if you don't like have a bag or something to stop that asthma. And I felt calm. Like right after I said her name, right after I was talking to her and asking her to help, I felt a calmness that I've never felt as long as I've had this asthma, and I was able to make it home, to walk, to move around, and the threat was gone. Is what I'm saying.
Mm.
That's real, and I have a witness. My sister saw the whole thing, but let's go. Yeah.
awesome, sis. That's awesome. So so just to add a little bit to it, that goes to show you how everything begins. With the aspect of mom. We always go back to our to Mother Nature, to the Yoniverse. Where the
Mhm.
cosmic home. Whichever aspect you want to refer to it, we always got to go back home. All right, and that's a great way to get started. Going back to the way things were, and we're gonna speak a little more into the divine mother, the absolute mother, more towards the end when we speak of another Orisha as well. Wait, hold on. Did
Oh,
I?
I so apologize. I wanted to add one thing if it's okay.
Yeah, go.
It's funny too that you have, a picture of the fish, the way we saw it on a lot of like bumper stickers and things like that, right? Which a lot of people have connected to Christ, right? Which is also the Vesica Pisces. So when
Back.
we're talking, right, like yo, there's like you know, so many ways that you can have the perceptions come in. And so this would also be an energy, right? Of, like you said, a beginning, right? And the Vesica Pisces, like the very beginning of like a flower of life, right? So
Mhm.
um understanding energetically what the element water and how it can build, right? We also understand that different chemicals, the air that we breathe, right, has some water in it. We understand what humidity in the air does, right? So when we understand the Vesica Pisces, this is also the same shape of a cell when it first splits, right? If we keep drawing it, this was also in school given to us as the compare and contrast bubble with the similarities little thing in the middle. I used to be like, "Why is it so small?" It's because it was spelling. It was never really to compare and contrast. It just needed us to be looking at the Vesica Pisces. You finish the circles around, you're going to get your Mastercard symbol or logo, your Gucci logo that's just open with the G's on the side. So we understand, right? Or Starbucks having, a mermaid there as its logo. So we understand how deep these logos are connected to the energy of water. So if you Google any rich home, right, like palaces and stuff, most of the time they have a flowing fountain in front of their house. And Feng Shui states that this flowing water is flowing abundance, it's life. Water would rain on crops. Water, bring the seasons through. Water would, also could turn into ice, hail. So we understand like that it's also stating that it has the ability to work on multiple levels as well as the different levels, gas, liquid, solid, so forth.
I'm glad you brought that up, sis, because I did forget to mention myself that I mentioned the first part, but Yamaya is represented by the constellation of Pisces. Pisces. So therefore, that's where the fish comes in, which, as you so eloquently stated, represents the Vesica Pisces, which is the cosmic womb, that the portal that allows all beings to come into this realm. So I'm glad that you beat that, because I did leave it out from the last time. We are speaking of Maya. We are speaking of the H of Pisces.
It also looks like an eye, right? It's also
Yeah,
an eye there.
All seeing eye.
right,
Hmm.
most definitely. So moving forward, let's look into Obatala, all right, because he's quite a character. We spoke on him the last time, but this is where we started having, some technical difficulties, so I wanted to make sure that we got through this one, you know, uh, um, without any problem. So looking at Owatala, I'll read this one since I haven't read as of yet. Uh, so it says Owatala, known as the creator of humanity and all other Orishas, not Olodumare. All right, because remember, Olodumare is the one that told Obatala, listen, this is what I want you to do. And he went and did it. All right. But Obatala is the creator of humanity. Obviously we know that Olodumare is the reason for the whole entire creation. But when it came to Hansan, Obatala is the one that put us together. And I kind when we finish this one, we're gonna realize that it might have been a little better if Olodumare put his hands in there instead of Obatala. I'm just saying, we're gonna look into it a little later, but we'll see. But known as the creator of humanity and all other Orishas, not Olodumare, as well as the oldest of the Orishas. He is the holder of the head and intellect. He rules the mind, bringing peace and remedies for all life-threatening illnesses. He is also attributed with the creation of earth.
Mm.
Before land existed, his father, Olodumare, the supreme god, sent him down to earth, which was then only covered by water. His father's wish was that the creation of earth and was bestowed with a handful of dirt and one chicken to do so. He said to be fair and candid judge, he offers strength to the blameless and justice to the guilty. All right? To the guilty. So Olodumare told him, listen, I need you to go create Earth, and I need you to go create these humans, and here's some dirt, and here's a chicken. Now get to it, you know. And it might sound a little, whatever, but there is a correlation with all creation stories that we've been given. It's just the fact that we're not grasping it that way. He gave them dirt. Remember, humans were supposedly made out of mud. Biblically speaking, I'm not telling you we were, but we do come from the mother, and to the mother we return when this vessel, not the real us, but when this vessel finishes up, we go back to the mother. They bury us. We become the dirt again, the earth. So that aspect we have. You ladies want to add something in regards about Obatala?
Well, for and I'm not sure. Every time I've heard it, it rings through as Obatala for me. But right, the chicken. So when we look at a lot of correlation of why certain people will use like chickens, and sacrifice. I don't judge what people do. I personally don't feed spirits blood. I don't. But
Those are facts, though.
this is. I'm sorry.
Those are facts. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Those are facts, though, because you're not the
Oh,
first.
no, 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 no worries. Sorry, it was like a delay on my end.
Yeah, it is. It seems like that there is a delay. But on the last presentation we did, Brother Calico made mention to that, to the point of what a coincidence that that within Voodoo we have all these chicken sacrifices, and Obatala is giving a chicken to to get to create humanity. So there is not far fetched what you're saying, because it's been said before, and I agree with both of you. I think it's an aspect. But please continue. My apologies for cutting you off.
No, no worries. Well, I was saying, right, when we look at this one now we're looking at air energy, right? Because the chicken, right, when you know, even though we don't consider it to be flying like that, right? This would basically be your air energy. So again, when Sister Yahsinni and I were speaking about the guanine in the DNA, which we have in our us, and it states that we come from, the scales within us. We have the scales of fish, and what comes as the droppings of birds. This may not be that far fetched as may sound. We have a mammalian, a reptilian, what I'm saying, brain. So when we look at these things of us that are literally there in the breakdown of our DNA, we begin to understand, yes, these elemental energies really exist. So, um, you know, it's also, of course, right, water that's in us. So you see that, this is definitely a correlation of energies. Um, but yeah, this is definitely presenting, for me, air energy. It always is a super, super pure energy. I see you have the white there. Um, and yeah, there are so many ways as well that you can connect, if that's not something that you wish to do, that doesn't involve that. I'm not telling people what to do. I don't business, but the chicken energy, um or if you want to call it that, there are plenty of deities though that are attached to this winged energy. So let me say it like that, right? This winged energy. So we've got Abraxas. Maman Brigitte has the rooster. um right, and um it may have also been a rooster, right? Because that would also be a male chicken,
Right.
which signifies the dawn, right? This is what it does. It screams out, it's early, it's day is coming. So when we're looking at what would be considered as the darkness, right? And water, and that, it's stating that nothing existed except this water. And then you think of the energy. It's these, we have to remember, everything is such symbolism, right? And so
Mm.
when we look at the symbolism, it's what we can tap into when we're breaking down that symbolism, and then looking at also, you know, the deities that are expressed through this symbolism, or the energies, elements, however it is you'd like to um, address them, on whatever level you're addressing them on. But right, air energy, most all of our actions come from a thought first, right? So this is
That's right.
also understanding, sending it down to earth. You are the earth, this would be your action. So when you have your thoughts and everything in alignment with the energy of air and Obatala, this was going to lead your vessel in the direction you're trying to go, because it's coming down from your air. You hear some people say, you don't think first, so you just do, you don't think first, right? But that's what that is. That's tapping into that first. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that part.
And that sort of was my point that I was going to make about like how did he create humanity? Did he do it like in a biblical sense where he actually took the dirt and created the body and blew into the nostrils, or breathed into the nostrils, and then there was breath and there was life? Or it's just interesting thinking about this, because we have so many creator of humanity stories around. But yeah, just seeing him and looking supreme. I don't know what that staff is in his hand that he's holding, but yeah, I just would want to know later on. Maybe we can do some research and find out that what was the method used
Oh, we are going to discuss that, sis.
creating a humanity.
Yes. Oh, we
Oh,
about.
oh, let's get to it then.
we about to go deep into that aspect,
Oh,
in the next couple of slides.
oh,
Obatala, as the creator of humanity, he deserves a little bit more than just one slide. So I think he had like three or four, to be honest. But yeah, I thought about those aspects as well, which led me to go look for the creation
yes.
story, which was the reason to why, if I may remove the book that you see on the left hand side, by Julio Garcia Cortez, The Ocean, has the creation story of all, I mean, has the story of all the Orishas, all right, of all the Orishas that we find within the pantheon. So, like I said, that's the reason for the background that we have currently. It inspired me. I love the picture that it represented. So, if you want to know the whole story, because I'm only going to touch one aspect of it, but if you want to know the whole story, feel free to, you could Google it. You could definitely Google it. I like to have reference so I could go back and read, myself. That's my personal preference. But going back to the thing. So let's move forward so we could get to the. Let's talk about the saber tree real quick, because this is something that I shared on the first one, and I wanted to touch base on it. So you want to take this one, sis? Yassine?
Absolutely. So the saber tree, this blessed tree is related to Abatala, which I agree with Jillian. I usually say Obatala. So it's the owner of all heads and other orishas within the Yoruba pantheon. It's a sacred tree within Santeria or Santeria, the Congo, the Mayans, and many others worldwide. Respect is demanded by the OSHA, which establishes that it is strictly forbidden to damage the saber tree, since any act carried out against it will be taken as a desecration of the religion. Punishment imposed for such sacrileges are paid with life. Yeah, so Guatemala's national saber tree.
Facts. Those
Yeah,
are facts.
yeah,
So
beautiful tree.
yes, most definitely. And and what I want to touch base on is, the OSHA does state that, and we have the book right here with the OSHA on the left hand side, which is the one that I'm mentioning to you guys. It does have in there, the consequences if you commit such a sacrilegious act on the saber tree. All right, but I wanted to add something, probably like a disclaimer. The
Mhm.
sisters are not wrong in one bit in regards about the pronunciation. Now, these stories, we know that they come from what we call today Nigeria. All right,
Mm.
they've traveled throughout the ocean. They went through Haiti, Cuba, the Dominican Republic. They found themselves all the way, into the what we call today the United States. And the stories have changed and morphed into so many things that
Mm.
that there is a plethora of stories for that one thing. So for Obatala or Obatala, some people might just know him as Oba. All right, they don't know even as Obatala. They just know him as Oba. So you might have heard of a certain storyline, but
Right.
don't come to the conclusion immediately that that is the one and only. It's not. There is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them, all in different places, depending on where you're at.
Mhm.
Pronunciations. It depends if you're looking at Voodoo, if you're looking at Santeria, if you're looking at the Orishas. We're speaking of the same thing. The same
Yes.
thing is just different places that embraced as it supposedly traveled through there because of slavery. Do you want to buy into that story that that's how we got through there? That's up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I just think different myself. And I believe that the stories were already there to begin with, or whatever.
Mhm.
That's a whole nother story. But that's just a disclaimer in case you hear me one of my slides say a specific storyline. They'll be like, "That's not what my grandmother told me." Uh, that you might be right. That your grandmother probably told you a different version of it.
Right.
So just let's embrace the information, instead of anything else. And I also make the mention that the saber tree is also Guatemala's national tree, and I have a picture of a saber tree that's right in front of my house in Guatemala. So when you go to my house, this is the saber tree right here. All right, so you can see how
Wow.
enormous and how absolutely
It's gorgeous.
right. I mean, I grew up, you know, climbing this tree, and now it's just enormous. When I was first climbing it, it wasn't this mammoth like, and it's never gonna stop growing, and it was just a little place. Now they had to make a whole thing, for the tree itself, and just like in other places, they do not we do not take kindly to you doing anything to our national tree, so just as a little reference as to what's going on, but let's look further and see the Orishas in the sky. All right, you want to take this one, Sister Jillian?
Sure thing. In the beginning, there was only the sky above, water and marshland below. The chief god Olorun ruled the sky, and the goddess Olokun ruled what was below. Obatala, another god, reflected upon this situation, then went to Olorun for permission to create dry land for all kinds of living creatures to inhabit. He was given permission, so he sought advice from Orunmila, oldest son of Olorun and the god of prophecy. He was told he would need a gold chain long enough to reach below, a a snail's shell filled with sand, a white hen, a black cat, and a palm nut, all of which he was to carry in a bag. All the gods contributed what gold they had, and Odumilla supplied the articles for the bag. When all was ready, Obatala hung the chain from a corner of the sky, placed the bag over his shoulder, and started the downward climb. When he reached the end of the chain, he saw he still had a distance to go. From above, he heard Orunmila instruct him to pour the sand from the snail's shell and also immediately release the white hen. He did as he was instructed and told to.
Facts, those are facts. So here we have the beginning of the storyline, right? So yeah, he was given, the rooster or the chicken or whatever, the white hen, but he was also given a black hat and a palm nut, and and a bag to carry everything on. All right. So what I want everybody not to embrace, but just to allow yourselves to think of it. He was given He will need a gold chain. When we're thinking, at least when I think of chains, I think of DNA because that's what I think of. DNA strands look like chains. Now, where do we find a lot of our DNA? In our spine column. All right, our spine column has a big plethora of DNA. So imagine if there was a possibility that the story of creation of Obatala or Obatala is actually the story of the Christ consciousness coming from above, going down the spine or down the chain to reach the bottom, and where he's got to be reborn again from the dirt, from the
Mm.
from the bottom, the bottom chakra, and be raised back up. Let's not forget that when we're looking at Obatala or Obatala, represented by the white dove. When I think of the white doves, biblically speaking, I think of the supposed Holy Spirit, which was the place that took the mother. All right, so it fits at least to me to see why something that's represented as a mother was giving the storyline of creation. All right, from my perspective. But do you ladies want to add something? Because I mean, at least that's what I caught from it, and I wanted to people to get like an understanding of what I thought. There's more to it. This is not the only part of the story that we're gonna address. You know, there's a second part. But before we move to the second part, I would love to hear what the goddesses have to say.
I just wanted to say,
Well, I also,
when they sent him
go
down
ahead. Go
there,
ahead.
he that bag that he has is his bag of tools,
Those are facts.
right? The gold chain, the snail shell, and all of that. So he know he's going down to the land of water. He know he's literally gonna have to build humanity at least. I mean, he's already got a black cat. He's got his palm nut. He's got his snail shell. He's got his chain. And so I can see some ingredients here where he's getting ready to build humanity out of. So this already is answering some questions, and I don't want to get ahead again with other questions because I see you've done your homework task and covered everything already. It's getting really interesting to me now, is what I had to say. Okay, and Jillian,
Well, I just wanted to add. Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to add, right? It's so interesting when you look at, like you said, like a lot of the deity stories, right? So in Greek mythology, they love to tell you how Zeus knocked up a woman, and one time he did it through gold showers, right? And this
mhm,
is gold energy, right? But we know that on the periodic table, Au is for gold,
mhm,
and we have an aura, right? So
mhm,
that Christ energy is generally connected with that golden energy. So the same thing that I got, this is, they're talking about a bag over the shoulder. It's the same thing with Santa Claus, which is also the colostrum, and the same thing, right? The consciousness um taking its statement through there. But right, that gold chain, like you said, absolutely, the DNA, but also that Christ energy. It's which can also be um, correlated with the story of like Jacob's ladder and things
mhm,
like that. So again, right, the energy of spirit, right, and they say as above, so below. So it definitely, like you said, the stories have definitely gone through their filtering and their changes over time. But when I tap into these energies, like again, right, the multiple levels, and we definitely are multidimensional beings, but it seems to definitely be explaining that what we would classify, or how we would see it as a like a descent, right, of spirit
mhm,
to earth. And then again, the guanine again, right, it's saying he used the sand from a snail's shell. um and man, it's amazing. And so also when these stories include these items, a shell, a cat, a palm nut, right? It's really, really beneficial to look into these specific items as well. One thing with me when I was first learning, if I was listening to a dream warrior and they said, if you want to remember your dreams more, put a bowl of milk under your bed. Some people would be like, well, goat's milk, cow's milk. I, I, me, I wanted to know why milk. You know what I'm saying? Because then you can kind of answer those questions on your own about which kind of milk you want to use, because you would understand what type of energies you'd be tapping into.
mhm,
So even going back to the saber tree, right? I did express there that I'm a psychonaut, and it's amazing. Like on a certain level of sensitivity, it's it's all super psychedelic for real. And the energies expressed, right, in these different plants, in these nuts and things like that, right, are super explosive energies and have so much information in them. It's ridiculous. So I just wanted to add that because this is actually my first time, hearing this, but that's definitely what I saw and what's being tapped into me from this particular slide here.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, sis. You want to add something else, Sister Yasini? Because I saw you agreeing with a lot of stuff, like you were tapped in as well. I see a connection with both the empresses.
Well,
I wish I would have got a chance to build with you ladies ahead of time. Again, my apologies for being casually and fashionably late. But did you want to add something, sis?
I really just want to ask you and Jillian a question to see if either of you can answer it.
Sí.
And why the black cat? Why not just a cat? Why the black cat?
Why the black?
um, you know, um, what's funny is that black cat expression is in a lot of places. There's even like a tarot card that has it there.
Mhm.
Um, and it's so funny, they place it around her ankle. And in one of my visions, I saw that there's a black cat that literally goes around one of my ankles. But right, cats have so much instinct, right? So much instinct. So these a lot of times, again, when this was happening to me, it was through magnetic fields, and I began to realize how much consciousness is intrinsic to magnetic fields, and
Mhm.
the things that happen through trance magnetic fields are absolutely instinctual. Okay, like absolutely, it's amazing. Like for instance, the things that like you said, it's all inside of us, right? So we're not really learning, we're truly remembering. But when I began to um right, learn, tap into mudras, and then when I had to use them one time, man, I went into those things so instinctually, and I was like, wait, I have a muscle memory for this. Cats also, right? Again, I stated that this was also correlated to the Jacob's ladder, and then talking about fallen angels, and they'll tell you that the same stuff that is in us is literally the same stuff that's in stars. So
Right.
um cats, right? As long as it's above like a third or a fourth story. I watched a video one time of how their bodies do like this when they're jumping down from 3, 4 stories, and then they land on their feet so
Mm.
light and keep going. And it was it was mind blowing. And so, um, of course, you have your Sekhmet, your Bast energies, and things like that, right? The cat, the lion, the Leo energy, that's also masculine energy inside of a feminine form. It is the cat is definitely balanced energies when you see it like that, right? Even though a lot of times people tend to initially just correlate the cat with feminine energy, but that's what kind of makes the lion so powerful. So this is what they're doing also in masonry when they put the compass for the square with the circle. So it's literally how it relates to me is like a literal blend and a balance of energies. So
Mm.
you also have the tabby constellation, and you have tabby cats. So how far this goes and how many layers and levels this goes, who knows. But um
Well,
that's just some of the information that I was pulling forth in
well,
regards to the
yeah,
cat.
I'm thinking, I'm assuming that Batalad knows what to do with all the ingredients that his mother's or that his father sent him down here to do. So he
Mhm.
was performing a ritual nonetheless, with the sack of tools that he gave him. So I'm like interested if they are they gonna. I know they're not gonna give us a ritual in this story, but I'm just showing how it was already thought first. It was already thought up, and then it can go into a physical presence. So you're right on track so far, Taz.
Right, those are facts, and just to add to what has been said, Black Cats, aside from Disney and and the movie theaters and all that, where they present it as bad luck and all this other stuff, in reality, black cats represent good luck. All right, and that's in many countries worldwide. A black cat is considered just good luck. Period. One of the places is in Japan. If a woman happens to own a black cat, it's believed to increase her number of romantic interest. So so more men are gonna be attracted to her. We also have England, Scotland, where a cat is viewed as good luck, within itself, and all cats in general in Russia are considered good luck cats. But let's not forget also what the sister said. Maybe because they are connected to Bass. When we go back to Egypt, when we go back to the motherland, we do know that cats have this connection to the spiritual realm. All right, specifically when it's a black cat, and in Egypt, the black cat was like the best thing to have. They were always around pharaohs or around the royalty that we find within Egyptian the Egyptian pantheon. So there is so many aspects about the black cat within itself. That I kind of see the correlation, and you see it even in the movies. Where they present it to you that when it involves a spell or some type of magic where a witch is casting a spell, there's always a black cat involved.
And so earlier, Jillian and I were talking about like the light or the energy inside of you that everybody else can detect it when they know how. So standing at my friend's house one day, there's a black cat. There's two other cats too playing, and then I get out the car, and the black cat walks up to me, sits at my feet, and just sits there. So I told my man, I said, get the cat. He's coming home with us. We took the cat home. We bathed him and fed him, kept him for a while. But that black cat was phenomenal. What I was learning, and this was my first time ever having any cat, and I already had heard so much bad things about the black cat. But when the cat came up to me, I did not hesitate to take that cat home, get to know that cat, and it's really phenomenal what that cat was on. The only reason why I got rid of her because she wouldn't stay out of my plants. No matter what, she wouldn't stay out of
They,
my
their
plants.
their purrs also are very healing. The frequency, the hertz of their purrs. I heard that they actually assist with people who have had heart attacks and things like that.
Oh,
When they become like you're familiar, they also see on different light spectrums. So they also work like spiritual guards. They will definitely keep
wow.
certain energies away. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
cats are dope. And I so do apologize, guys. I so do apologize. I did actually plan from 7 to 9, so I actually have to run. And I'm sorry. I know we're getting just started, but
No,
I
sis,
super appreciate it.
most definitely, we appreciate you being here.
Yeah. We're glad that
Thank
you
you.
came
Thank
on the
you.
show. And surely you're going to come back and sit
I
down with me and Taz on some other subjects too,
absolutely,
because you got
absolutely.
so much information, Jillian. So much.
We appreciate
Thank you. Thank you.
the peace and love, and hope that we see you at the show.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. I so appreciate it, guys. Peace. Take care.
Peace.
Peace, sister.
So,
Yeah.
so if we could continue this and go into the creation story, all right? Because we
Yes.
are seeing, about Orishas in the sky. So let's look, all right? Uh,
Yes.
I'll take this one. You take the next one.
Got
It says, whereupon the hen landing on the sand began scratching and scattering it about. Wherever the sand landed, it formed dry land. Let's remember, there was nothing but water. There was nothing but the deep. The deep of the water. So now that he's thrown this sand all
mhm.
over the place, now he threw the chicken or the or the hen or whatever on top, and it begins to scatter everything. all over the place, like piles of sand all over the plant, all over the
Mhm.
place, right? So
Right.
it's where the sand landed, it formed dry land. The bigger piles becoming hills, and the smaller piles valleys. Obatala jumped to a hill and named the place Ife or Ife. It depends, how you were. I looked at for the pronunciation, and it was given so many different pronunciations. So
Right.
you
Right.
know, you choose the pronunciation. I'm gonna go with Ife or Ife, either or. But he named the place Ife. The dry land now extended as far as he could see. He dug a hole, planted the palm nut, and saw it grow to maturity in a flash. The
Wow.
palm tree dropped more palm nuts on the ground, each of which grew immediately to maturity and repeated the process. Obatala settled down with the cat for company. Many months passed, and he grew bored with his routine. He decided to create beings like himself to him, to keep him company. He dug into the sand and soon found clay with which to mount figures like himself and started on his task, but soon grew tired and decided to take a break.
Mm.
So now we have a little bit more of information. We're not done with his creation story, sis, but we have a little bit more about the creation story. You
Yeah.
want to add something about this one because I mean he's
Um,
trying to tell
yeah.
the story of how it actually went down.
Right. And so to me, no matter who's telling the story or what, whether it's the Bible, whether this story or other creation stories, they we tend to probably look at things that are different in the story. But what we should be doing is looking at what's the same in all of these stories. And what you just read is reminding me that he made humanity after his own image, which is a big one, uh, and he rested.
Factory.
Yeah,
Facts. Those are facts. He rested. He created and he rested. All
that's
right.
right.
You
That's
know,
right.
so we see similarities from where Christianity dug his dirty paws and started grabbing. And who knows,
Hmm.
maybe this creation story, is old. Maybe there's some even older one, that assimilates it, whatever. But we do see that worldwide there is some similarities within all this creation stories that that we've heard of or whatever.
Right, and it also makes me wonder. Maybe there is more than one creation story because we don't know how old the Earth is, and we know we get new ages coming in. Each age study builds up into it's like one might be 2,600 years, and then a bigger one double that, and then four of them maybe is a major reset. Maybe there is beings being recreated over and over again, sort of like root race. So maybe maybe all of these stories is just one of many creation stories. We have to sometimes open up our minds and believe that we can't know what all went on in this world or on this earth. This earth is older than 6,000 years old, by the way.
Whole lot older, sis. A whole lot older.
It is.
Yeah. So I
It,
mean that gives us a pretty good aspect. So
mhm.
let's see what ended up happening. Because he took a rest.
Mm.
Why did he take a rest and what happened because of the rest? So Sid, do you wanna take this?
Yes, protector of the deformed. So he made wine from a nearby palm tree and drank bowl after bowl, not realizing he was drunk. Abatala returned to his task of fashioning the new beings. Because of his condition, he fashioned many imperfect figures. Without realizing this, he called out to Oleron to breathe life into his creatures. The next day, he realized what he had done and swore never to drink again and to take care of those who were deformed, thus becoming protector of the deformed. So the new people built huts as Obatala had done, and soon Ife prospered and became a city. All the other gods were happy with what Obatala had done and visited the land often, except for Olakun, the ruler of all below the sky. She had not been consulted by Obatala and grew angry that he had usurped so much of her kingdom. Mm, mm, mm.
Facts. Those are facts.
Yes.
Ologun was like, who gave you the authority to come and turn my water into dirt? Who told you that stupid stuff? Wait a minute. And you didn't get the okay from me first? You didn't
Yeah.
to mama? I will drown your and let me not start cursing. Let me
And
not
so
start Go ahead, sis.
in the secret book of John, it was Sophia who went and created a being or what we would call Satan or the devil or the ruler of this earth. It was her who did that without checking with the father, right? So now this being only has half the light of his mother. So this story sounds reversed from that, even. So when I say, instead of looking at the differences in the story, we should look at what's alike also. But it seems like, yeah, he went down there without his mama's permission, start building humans, and now you got drunk and and made some of them deformed and all. Now you got to take care of those deformed humans or
So
imperfect figures.
is this their way of telling us that this is why we have faults? Because Obatala got drunk? So
Yeah.
who was the first alcoholic, sis?
And look how long alcohol's been around too. So
Right. It's been like
wow. And
forever, and
and
it's like,
so it shows a part of humanity in these gods. You know, he got
woo,
he
yeah,
got tired. He got tired for one. That's human
sis.
because you would it's like an oxymoron for a god to be tired. But in the biblical tale,
This,
Yahweh or whomever that God is must have also been tired because he rested on that seventh day. And so we got this cat not only resting, but getting drunk. He's off. He's
remember you
off for
said
work.
that. Sis. Remember you said that.
Yes,
Remember you said what you just said. All right.
yes.
Let so let's move forward because that's like hitting it right on the head. All right, but we do see, that how do you get drunk and you're a god? How do you get tired if you're a god? How are all these situations happen? So wait, are you a true god or what's going on
Whoa.
here?
Whoa.
There's some type of
Right. And if you are a true God, do you too have some deformities?
most
Maybe you're not perfect. Maybe gods aren't perfect. Maybe that can mean that we can be gods. We're not perfect. We get tired and we get drunk.
that that that
So
explains the why, right? So let's look at
absolutely.
wrath of Olokun because Sis didn't just sat around and the waters just remained calm while
Right.
when she found out all this shit was happening. You know,
Oh,
Sis was like, wait, y'all, you forgot I'm here, right? So okay,
right.
check this out then. Check this out. So let's see what happened. So it says when Obatala returned to his home in the sky for a visit, Olokun summoned the great waves of her vast ocean and sent them surging across the land. Wave after wave she unleashed until much of the land was underwater and many of the people were drowned. Those that had fled to the highest land besieged the god Ishu, who had been visiting, to return to the sky and report what was happening to them. Ishu demanded a sacrifice be made to Obatala and himself before he would deliver the message. So he's like, I know you dying, but I need to see some blood.
Yeah.
I need a sacrifice right here because I know you're in need, but I need to know you're in real need. You
Right.
know, so as he demanded a sacrifice to be made to Obatala himself before he would deliver the message. The people sacrificed some goats, and Ishu returned to the sky. When Orunmila heard the news, he climbed down the golden chain to earth and cast many spells which caused the flood waters to retreat and the dry African land reappeared. So ended the great flood.
Mm.
So now we see this aspect where where if you don't ask the mother what you about to do and you just get to doing things, you will get the wrath of moms. She will come for you, and
Mhm.
and if you have a complete household, she might not even have to do anything because daddy gonna enforce law. Daddy is all law, all
Yeah.
law. So he's gonna enforce all law. And who's all law? All law is Allah. He gotta
Right.
enforce the law of the land. He's gotta enforce Mama's law. There is no way around that. But sis, please go ahead.
I want to say that when Arunmala heard the news, he climbed down the golden chain to the earth. Now, that sentence about the climbing down makes me think of like trees and how tall they must have been in some other world where they wasn't being constantly chopped down and turned into paper or wood.
Wow.
Um, I know, Taz, we've talked about like there was no forest or there are no forests now
Right.
in reference to the fact that they cut all the trees down, and even these trees that we see right now, these ain't even real representatives of what the trees should be like. And because of tainted air and probably not enough, they can't deliver us enough oxygen, so we are shrunk down, trees are shrunk down. And when you talk about the golden chain to the earth, that again, the other part is telling me that there is something connecting humanity or each human to the sky. And if the golden chain could be invisible to us, but very much a chain. And that's how, say, if you near death or have a near death experience, and it seems so real and so vivid that you were in heaven or whatever, the people in heaven or they would know that you're not one of them because they would see that golden chain. There's an attachment from the people to the heavens or the stars and whatever's up there. This is why we say everything is connected or interconnected, and I do mean everything.
Wow. Wow, sis. It's it's an amazing grasp of things, and once you start putting all that together, that's what and not only that, if you look at the chat, says there Aisha Hall should be right up here with us because
We'll send her a link.
talking about Jack and the Beanstalk coming down
Yes,
the tree, the
yes,
gold story that what they went up there and got. All
yeah,
right. So she's plugged in. She's definitely plugged in. Uh Abina Hua Tawantin Suyu. Oh, that's an awesome name. He speaks. Let's go, brother. I hope you enjoy the show. Or sister. I'm not sure if you are here or
and
but
so and so when he climbed down that golden chain to earth and cast many spells, and that's what caused the flood waters. So it's not so much, the biblical sense is that we we messed up by sinning so much. Oh yeah, tinfoil, the meta media.
Oh, Green Giant. Remember those commercials, sis?
Yeah,
Green Giant.
right.
Go ahead, sis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this story is putting everything on the gods, saying that they the ones who messed up and caused, because of the spell, caused the flood waters to retreat. Let me see what's under there. And then to land the land to reappear, the dry African land reappear.
And that gives us the reason as to why, so many say, that we all come from Africa. Because when the waters receded, the
Mhm.
only one that was still attached,
Yeah,
to the stories, the
Gia,
only one
Pan,
that was still attached to the land and never moved from the place that it stood from its origins was Africa. Africa has always been, and I'm not telling nobody, that yeah, that is the origin story or whatever. I'm just telling you, some facts, about whatever, But
mhm.
we do know that at one point in time, all the lands were together, But that's a whole the different aspect. Go ahead, sis. I interrupt you. My apologies.
No, that's what I'm just saying is how there's already turmoil, even though they're gods, there's still turmoil up there with the gods, even and they're creator gods, and they're creating humanity based off of them.
Most
That's what it
definitely.
looks like.
Uh-huh.
So it holds true for us being created in God's image. We just only need to redefine God,
Most
you know,
definitely.
because
Now,
there's a time when we couldn't say we were gods.
right. Now, when we look at these stories, sis, about ancient floods, we find it everywhere, sis. This
We do.
fluid of of the mother's wrath, if you want to call it that, if you want to call it the great deluge or whatever, we find it everywhere. So let me share this slide with you. It says ancient floods. The flood or deluge story is a great flood, usually sent by a deity or deities
Mhm,
that destroy civilization, often in an act of divine retribution.
mhm,
Parallels are often drawn between the floodwaters of these stories and the primeval waters which appear in certain creation tales, as the floodwaters are described as a measure for the cleansing of humanity in preparation for rebirth. Most flood tales also contain a culture hero who
mhm,
represents the human craving for life. The flood tale occurs in many cultures, as seen in the Mesopotamian flood stories, the Genesis flood narrative, Noah from Noah in Islam, Manvantara, Sankhya in Hinduism, the Gun Yu in Chinese mythology, Deucalion and Pyrrha in Greek mythology. We have Bergelmar in the Norse mythology. We have the arrival of the first inhabitants of Ireland with Caesar in Irish mythology. In parts of Polynesia, such as Hawaii, the lore of the Quiche and Mayan peoples in Mesoamerica, the La Corte Orioles Ojibwa tribe of Native Americans in North America, the Muisca and Cañari confederations in South America, Africa, and some Aboriginal tribes in Australia. So this flood story says when
mhm,
Olo just invokes her wrath,
mhm,
or when this divine deity or whatever creates this great flood, it
mhm.
it's all over the place. I think that we could stay. It's safe to say that it is something that is embraced worldwide. We can't come. We could come to an accord on that. That if it was, if what is being presented is true, is that at one point in time there was some type of flood.
Right.
I mean, can that be assumed? You know?
Absolutely. And it looks like it's innate within all the tribes of people or all the nations. It looks like everybody's got their um, deluge story. I'm glad you read that too. I'm glad that didn't follow me. And who knew that there's so many mythological stories about like pretty much about everything.
About
But this story is so important because it means that, not the end of the world, but definitely the end of the world as you know it. Because after all these flood tales, humanity still existed or was able to bounce back or whatever. Maybe maybe that is the earth being pregnant,
most definitely, most definitely.
giving birth to a new earth.
Most definitely. And I just remember that I attached some stories to a couple of them, like Nu and Noah in Islam.
Hmm.
I have the story of, the flood guy. I have links in the video just so the family understands that, that I thoroughly researched. Yes, this is a wiki article. Yes, it is. But if this is just to show the fact that, that the story is there, it is credible in existence. We have the Gunju in the Chinese, the Great Flood in China. These are absolute facts of events. Well, let me not say facts. These are storylines that it is factual that they were told. Is it factual that they occurred? I wasn't there. I can't tell you they did. There is certain evidence that could tell us there is a possibility. Can I make that assumption that it did or didn't? I can't. All right, but I do have all of them. So we could see that within these storylines of the people worldwide, we find this tale of an ancient flood. All right. So moving forward, so I ask you, sis, do we have imperfect Orishas? Is that what this is? Because
Excuse me. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it.
remember
It
what
also sounds like it
remember.
also it also sounds like um, things should be repeating itself. So that's why I said earlier, maybe it wasn't just one flood. Maybe they happened with certain ages. The earth naturally resets herself,
Most
bounce
definitely.
everybody out, and starts over. And I would think that the way the earth is now, with all of this corruption and evil in it, maybe that's why, because she's hurt, been abused, is being raped right now, and all kinds of shit. And so she needs to heal herself, and that maybe that's her Orishas got her back. Let's just destroy everything. It seems cruel the way they put it in the Bible because they say that the humans were all sinful, but
Right.
here the humans didn't do nothing to them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So let's dig deeper then, sis. You want to take this one because I want to know: do we have imperfect Orishas or what?
Mm. So there's a few conclusions that one can determine regarding the Yoruba creation tale, as well as all the others worldwide through history, allegedly. First, we can find a consistency among the Orishas and the other deities. They are not perfect. We see Obatala fall victim to alcoholism, which leads to mistakes in the process of creating new beings. On the other hand, Olakun shows how spiteful she can be during her rage by annihilating innocent people. Emotionally, Orishas are never in control and suffer emotionally, which we can all agree is a human emotion. Loneliness leads to his drinking, and shame overwhelm Obatala for his mistakes. Meantime, Olakun is angry and vengeful. Yeah,
So are we talking about humans or are we talking about gods here, sis?
both.
Uh,
We're saying humans can be gods and gods can be humans. That's right.
mhm.
And and with our other tales or biblical tales, at least, we saw Jesus get angry and like start turning over tables,
Wait,
whipping the animals. I thought I was the only one who thought that is cruel, and he shouldn't even be showing anger. But just like in the conscious community, if people think that you're conscious, they expect you to not be angry, not call names, and not be acting like these guys that we're talking about now. But really, it may just boil down to balance. Like all good all the time can't be good. All bad all the time can't be bad. You need balance, and maybe that's why we get angry and do things to like because probably been doing so much good and holding so much stuff in for the sake of being good. Eventually, that shit is gonna come out. It's going to come out, and so
those are facts, sis. Those are
we're
facts.
saying that there are some imperfect orishas or gods.
Right. Or at least some of them are embracing what we call human traits, anger,
Mhm.
and tiredness and all this, I'm not telling you that they are imperfect. I'm just telling you that from my piece of understanding, I could see that, that there is certain traits that they belong to us, so that could it be
Yeah.
that I could be Obatala then? Does it mean that you could be Olo Kunsis? I think we have possibilities. I think we just forgotten about
Yeah.
those possibilities. But let us continue. So let's look into Ogun. We finally reached the end of Obatala, and he was an interesting character. He was a very interesting character. He offered us a lot of information in regards about his creation story. So let's look into Ogun right now because Ogun is a good one as well. All
Hmm.
right. Uh,
Right.
so let me get this one, and I'll let you get the other one. Ogun is the owner of all metals and minerals, especially iron. He's associated with knives, machetes, nails, metal tools, firearms, and other weapons, as well as mountains. Generally, he's portrayed as a solitary blacksmith or ironmonger who lives alone in the forest. I need the family to remember that as I'm explaining the characteristics of Ogun. All right, so I'm gonna read it again just so for those that that weren't paying attention, and now that I'm making the reference, please remember his characteristics and what describes him. All right, Ogun is the owner of all metals and minerals, especially iron. He's associated with knives, machetes, nails, metal tools, firearms, and other weapons, as well as mountains.
Mhm.
Generally, he's portrayed as a solitary blacksmith or ironmonger who lives alone in the forest. When the Orishas came to Earth, Ogun was given the task of clearing the forest with his machete. The
Mhm.
Patakis, or sacred stories, tell us that Ogun's father is Obatala. His mother is Yemu, or Yempo, also known as Yemaya. And his brothers are Elegua and Ochosi.
Mhm.
Often, Shango is also mentioned as a brother or half brother. He was said to be one of the first Orishas to visit Earth to seek an adequate place for humans to live. Other beliefs he was said to have cleared a pathway using an axe and provide the companionship of and was provided companionship of a dog to allow for other Orishas to enter Earth. All right. So we have Ogun, and it appears that that he's a dude that likes to be to himself, and alone, and he's good with metals. We know that metallurgy is something that that we see within this tribe, especially like with the Twa, in Ireland, the original the original people, the original leprechaun, they were good with metallurgy, melting down metals and doing this alchemy with the metals, all right? So he was good at this. He was good at this. He was usually alone all the time in the forest, and he was the first one to come down to find a place, a good place where the creation of Obatala or Obatala was gonna take place. So when he came down, he had the job of clearing the pathway for the rest of the Orishas. So when we come down, bro, you gonna lead the way, because you got the tools that we need and we require to open this pathway from this new land that is gonna come about, that it came about once Obatala threw the sand at the chicken and the chicken got the, kicking sand all over the place or whatever, and the earth came, so that's what this introduction of Ogun tells us. What do you want to add, sis?
I'm looking at his relationship to the other Orishas. And so I see that while his mother is Yamaya, his brothers is Elegua, who is also. Did you do Elegua already in part one? I can't remember.
I am. Yeah, 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 yeah. Elegua was the first Orisha that we. Let me see. The Pataki, the beginning, Oshun, the legend, human origin.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking at the relationship he has with the other Orishas, Agun that is.
Right,
He's
right.
up there with Elegua. His dad is Obatala.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's a family oriented, all gods, all powers, and looks like they're all gonna be taking some part um, in this creation, in the creation story.
Right, right. So yeah, Elegua was the or Elegua. Wait, yeah,
Right. Yeah, Papa Legba.
right. So where were we at? Alright. So yeah, uh, Music Land is still in the building. Thank you, Master Teachers, for this beautiful presentation. We appreciate you, brother, and without you guys, we would be nothing. So we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Uh, be sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and check out our all our content. But at least give us a like. If you like the subject, share it, comment, let us know, and subscribe. That's something that I must stress enough. And
And so, Aisha has a good point. She said, "Is that why the wolf house at the moon? And is the moon the way the other Orishas came into Earth?" Now, on that picture with the Vesica Pisces, there was also a crescent moon down there on Yamaya's picture, and I wanted to make reference to that crescent moon as to it not only representing the feminine energy of Yamaya or Yemaya, it also is a way for them to come to the earth. The rest of the Orishas that's coming to the earth, they coming through the moon. And if we think about it, we can directly tie like a silver, even though they said gold, we can tie like a silver chain or whatever to the moon and being born or coming into this earth. Okay, it's definitely a portal. Let's
more
just say that it's definitely a portal, and it's also representing a feminine energy. So
beautiful.
I thought that was a good question. Is that the way that the other Orishas came into the earth?
Everything has to come to the portal, so I would tend to agree.
Mm.
Uh, um, like I said, Aisha should be right up here with us because she be dropping gems on the in a while.
Yeah, she's definitely interesting.
Right.
Interesting thoughts.
Trevor Peter, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming back, and checking me out. The support is always greatly appreciated. So
And so another thing too that I'm noticing, okay, so Ogun is the owner of all the metals and minerals. Shango is
thunder,
thunder,
right?
thunder, right? So they each what they're saying is these guys are representing elements like real elements of on the earth,
Teach this, teach.
right? Fire, thunder, air, water, gold,
Yeah.
iron. We might, there might be enough Orishas to go through the whole periodic table. Somebody up there earlier said they had like a whole bunch of Orishas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Right here, we are only addressing what we call
the main ones.
the the seven African powers is the book on the right. All right, those are the ones that we are addressing. There is a plethora of Orishas, not just the, and I'm not addressing just the seven because you can't address the Orishas without speaking about Olodumare, and certain other Orishas, You can't just speak of Yamaya and not speak of Olokun, So it's something that has to be out there. And to give a shout out, another place where I found a lot of the information. What is the goddess's name, sis? The god witch Yaya?
Oya.
No, yeah. The YouTube channel that both you and I
Oh,
follow.
Blackwood Yaya. Yeah.
Yeah, the Black Witch Yaya. Go check out her channel. I do not know the lady. I'm not putting her out there because she's my friend or nothing like that. Go check out her channel. She has connections to Nigeria through her family, and her aspect and relation to everything is completely amazing. Go check her out. I'll put her link to her channel in the description so you guys can check it out in the description of this section. But moving forward, uh, let's see, where were we at? Ogun. So the spirit of iron. You want to take this one, sis?
Yes. So there exist many sacred stories regarding Ogun, some controversial. One of the most famous explains how, in the beginning, when the Orishas arrived on Earth, it was filled with trees, plants, forests, jungles, etc. Navigating through easily was not an easy task. Obatala tried to help with a silver cutlass slashing bushes, making a clear path for all Orishas. Eventually, his cutlass became very dull and bent out of shape, rendering it useless. A great hunter named Toby Ode, or Ode, during his predicament, became aware of the mystery of iron and brought forth a machete, which is an axe, and all the other tales. So, accompanied by a dog, he was able to slash his way through the forest, making a clear pathway. Everyone being proud of his adversity, they proclaimed him with the title of, quote, first among the mortals, end quote, and was renamed Ogun, that translates into the spirit of iron. One would assume that this would make anyone proud and honored, but instead, Ogun, being the isolated and antisocial type, he instead shrugged it off and retired into the forest where he can be alone. So he wasn't impressed.
It seems that he wasn't too impressive, but you know, we keep seeing this concept of this Orishas getting on their feelings about certain things.
Yeah, very emotional, Taz. You know what I mean?
Right, very, very, very emotional.
Emotional damage.
You got it. You got it.
But it's like, what is going on here? Do we have to address something here? Is there a deeper issue that needs to be addressed, right? But Not only that, but we also see that there was a transformation or I don't want to say an evolution, but for lack of another word, an evolution that happened within this Orishas, especially with Ogun, because he was originally this regular dude that was known named as Toby Odie, and he transitioned into being the Ogun that we know today. Yeah, I figured you were going to appreciate that music, Lance. So I had she you mentioned the emotional damage, so I had to bring him out.
Right, right.
But with that said, that's a concept that I wanted to state. You wanted to add something else?
Um, yeah, again, obviously, obviously they didn't need a tree to climb down to get to the earth, right? Because they're actually cutting those down, clearing the pathway,
Mm-hmm.
right?
There we go.
So,
Cutting of the trees.
right, and they don't show not one Orisha with any wings,
Not within the seven, anyway.
right? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
the more powerful ones. And as far as the seven goes, we usually do have seven main things. 7 days of the week. We only talk about the seven chakras. Well, we know we got a lot more of
Whole
that,
bunch.
right?
Right. 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 I think even in matter of fact, this was inspired because this presentation was inspired because I did the science of the sacred secretion, and in there I connected the connection between the Orishas and the seven African powers to
Mhm.
the seven deadly sins.
Mm.
So go check out uh, uh, my channel for that presentation. The science of the sacred secretion is a great, 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 great presentation.
For sure.
Yeah, he was definitely emotional, brother. Very, very emotional. Uh,
It
and
was. It was.
Sherry Berry Charbet
Oh,
said 32 chakras in our head, just
wow.
in
Our
our head alone,
heads alone. Mm.
just in our head alone. But moving forward,
I wanted to say, go back one. So,
let's.
he was just a mere mortal at the time, and then was elevated to
Yes,
become an Orisha.
yes, is that's why I was like, wait. So he
Yeah.
ascended.
Right.
You remember they traveled down through the spine or through the chain or through the DNA, and when
Mhm.
they got down, they rose back up. They
Mhm.
ascended to something else. I mean, at least that's the concept that I see. That's how I see. I'm not telling you it is that way or whatever.
Mhm.
That's just what I'm interpreting. But it's open for interpretation. Please, leave a comment or post
Mhm.
something in the comment section if you think of something different. I appreciate all interactions.
And
Go ahead, sis.
and we look at now too how nobody's holding any trees or plants or forests sacred even to this day. Jungles, none of that is sacred right now.
No for fact.
Even though we need it to breathe and live, we definitely need plants.
It's like we don't care.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And it seemed like they didn't care all that much back then either. If they could just like slash it all down, and so they sort of were, it even said bushes on there. So they sort of already is getting ready to become civilized, or I don't want to say build cities, but at least towns or something, social tribes or something.
Right?
Because they already know that they could just cut those trees down now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You know,
I mean, thanks to Ogun, they now know with him making machetes and axe and stuff like that out of iron, that
right,
that's what it's for. Let's go chop something down. Why
right,
else would they need their blade that sharp?
right. Most definitely, most
Okay.
definitely. And for Aisha, you know, I was just as shocked when Charbet dropped that wisdom on that. You know, I was like, whoa, 72, just in the dome, just in the head alone. I'm like, whoa. But moving forward, because Ogun is an interesting one, and I'm going to try to make a connection that most people are gonna be like, oh, Taz, you're reaching. And you know what? I might be reaching. Let me reach, let me reach, because I'm gonna bring you some a concept that's gonna be is gonna be inevitable to for us to at least be able to see a small connection. All right, even if it's that. All right, so let's move forward, because when it comes to Ogun, if you've seen the movie Maleficent, Maleficent is Ogun. All right. Maleficent is Ogun. So I'm gonna read this. I think this is read the last one, so I'm gonna read this one. Um okay, it says Maleficent is Ogun. Ogun is a very popular and feared god among the Yoruba pantheon, among the Yoruba pantheon of gods, called the god of iron and war. He is known for his creativity alongside his destructive nature, which amounts to the misunderstood nature of his aura. Usually, humans would always break the laws of nature. Ogun thus stands as the guardian to execute the repercussions of such actions. So when you break mama's law, when you break mom's law and you do something to Mother Nature, it's Ogun that's going to make you suffer the repercussions and consequences of those actions. For this, he is feared. Despite that, uh, when called on, Ogun comes to the plight of his followers, blessing and protecting them. The noble Lorette Wo Soyinka, the elder right here on the right hand side, says in his book of myth, literature, and African world, Ogun is the master craftsman and an artist farmer, warrior, essence of destruction and creativity, a recluse and a gregarious imbiber, a reluctant leader of men and deities. All these words clearly describe the nature and element of the most revered Ogun and the frightening Maleficent in the Disney film. So you might ask and say, Taz, you still didn't give enough. We're not done. We're not done. But you know, I want to see what the concept brings to you, sis. What do you think so far? Did you watch the movie Maleficent? First of all,
I tried to watch it, so I know who she is, and very surprised that okay, so Ogun is very popular and feared among the Yoruba pantheon of gods.
uh huh.
So he knows. Does he know that he's a god? Because he know he was. They started calling him a god, but he didn't want to be. He ran off
Yeah.
by himself, right?
Mhm.
So I'm thinking it's just a matter of you knowing that you're a god that can also give you more powers. He first only just like was messing with iron and all, right?
Right.
And now he's the most feared god of the whole pantheon.
Mm-hmm.
And started off as not even a god, started off as a mortal.
And he ascended that far up.
Right, which means other mortals can too.
Those are fast.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
You
I
think that us humans can ascend to God's status?
I think that we.
It would be unbelievable to think that because We have emotional damage. We got flaws. So a lot of us are deformed or whatever, and we believe in that alone, whatever our illness or our issue is, we can't be a god. But we're seeing right here with Maleficent is Ogun. Ogun was just some quiet person on the earth, farmer or whatever, who was just by himself, cleared the way for other Orishas to come down, and then was raised to the status of a god, and now raised to the status of a god to be feared. Of
Right.
all the whole pantheon of gods. Now we know there's more than seven now. So of all the gods, he's the god of iron and war. So we do have gods of war. We have good guys and bad guys. He said there's something familiar in there where he's creator and destroyer. So we hear that a lot. Like I guess some Christians wouldn't like to believe that God of the Bible is a destroyer, a creator and a destroyer.
But they show us that representation of both aspects. One in the New Testament, the Old Testament, and the other one in the New.
Right. Absolutely. Which is really just showing us not not just balance, but what's the half this, half that. I forget the symbol.
Oh, the
The
yin
black and white duality. Duality.
duality, the yin.
Yeah. So we're looking at every God more than likely has that duality personality also.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. But let us dig deeper into this whole concept of Maleficent is Ogun because Taz, you didn't convince me with just that. I know you don't think you was gonna convince me with just that. No, 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 Taz. You gotta come harder than that. So let's
Mm,
uh
okay.
you wanna read this one, sis?
Yes. God and goddess of war. So the wrath and power Ogun has been explored extensively in literature since it has habitually been the mirror of the society. I agree. So the myth and legend of Ogun's origin began when he descended to Earth, and through his connection with the element iron, he creates a tool used to make a pathway for other gods. He's the most revered and feared due to his quick temper. He got a temper. Maleficent and her character displays being quick tempered, which just like Ogun makes her revered and feared. So, for a lack of words, she is coincidentally also allergic, or vulnerable to iron. Hmm. So the Disney film Maleficent is a story of good and evil. Through a cliche, it never gets old. Though a cliche, it never gets old. Maleficent is a misunderstood character and demonized by all in the land. So, being a dreaded creature who nurtures and grooms a human in the first part, this act is not convincing enough to mellow and water down the negative perception of this character. Yeah, the name alone tells you it's going to be a negative perception. Attach your mute.
My apologies, I didn't realize. But those are facts, but we do see those similarities, like it states it, Ogun is the god of iron.
Mhm.
Coincidentally, for a lack of other word, Maleficent within the movie, they expose her weakness, and it happens to be iron, because they had to, make sure that they use her own stuff against her. All right, and not only that, but it says right here, Maleficent in her character displays being quick tempered, just like Ogun. And she is revered and feared. because in the movie, whenever there's a problem, they come to her.
Mhm.
Whenever somebody invaded, she was the one standing there like, what you gonna do, or whatever. And she's the one that directed traffic, attack, whatever. She was always, the
Right.
leader. She was always at the front line, you know. So the
Wow.
story of good and evil, even though it's a cliche, it's been demonized, and it's been shown to us so much, throughout the process of this watching movies, and and these stories that we have from the past, or whatever. So
Well, I have a question, Taz.
go
Is
ahead.
a quick temper, does a quick temper automatically equate to emotional damage?
To emotional that it's very possible, sis. If you're out of balance, let's not forget that when we're talking about the war of God, we're talking about Aries, all right. And when we also talking about the war god, we're also talking, which we looked into in the first one. We were talking about, where are we at? Where are we at? Give me one quick second. King Ashe Ojogun. I want to show you guys, because if I don't show it to you, it makes here. We're talking about Shango, all right? We're talking about Shango, the war god. Why is he a war god, Taz? If you look next to him, protruding, what is protruding from his sides? From his sides, he got some
Horns.
ram horns. Some
Mm-hmm.
ram horns. And when we're looking at Shango or Chango, whatever, however you hear mention them, the ram is his animal. It's his familiar. All right, it's what represents him. And when we realize that the ram is Aries, Aries is the war god. And that happens to be very volatile energy. And when you don't have your ego in check, that volatile energy is always gonna erupt immediately. But go ahead, says you want to add something?
Yeah, it's just making me think a God who didn't have a volatile energy is probably going to be screwed over all the time, or probably like beat up and cast down to the earth. Yeah,
Most
it
definitely.
seems like it's a must. It's a must that they have this bad temper, or quick temper, I should say. I shouldn't say
Yeah.
bad. I should say quick. So you might ask them a question and like get your head chopped off. You know, the temper just flares.
Right.
So it's easy to see if these are the creator of humankind, then it's clearly easy to see why we are like we are, why we gotta have war, why we so quick with our temper, why we got so much emotional damage.
Right. Music land, what is your sign, if you don't mind me asking, or whatever. What is your zodiacal sign? What month were you born in? Just type it in the chat just so I could get an idea of something that I'm curious about. But moving forward, you wanted to add something else? Sis?
No, I'm good, but I am interested in knowing what his sign is. I was gonna guess Pisces, but
Right.
mm,
So let's look at this role reversal. Let me read this. You read the last one, right, sis?
yeah, I did.
Okay, let me read this one, the role
No,
reversal.
I think you read the last one.
Okay. That's cool. Go ahead. Take this one.
No.
We're still talking about Ogun, and we're still making the comparison of Maleficent. Go ahead, sis.
Okay, so role reversal. Maleficent has in her existence the will to be good and bad, though she would rather have everyone think the worst of her. Damn. So the film has a lot portrayed in it, with the glaring reversal of roles of good and evil, highly represented through the colors of clothing and actions these characters let out. So while white represents purity and good. In the film, it represents evil. Like Maleficent, Ogun is a misunderstood god, yet he is the most traveled and worshipped god. Maleficent holds a lot in semblance to her male counterpart Ogun in character and will. So, being a supreme being, reclusive, and also the last of her kind, she holds more power than her newly found race. Ogun is a walking army, and these traits are evident with Maleficent. Just as Ogun, she is gifted with the ability to kill, destroy, bring life, and filled with creativity, having the dark side of a bad temper, which, when carried away by rage, indiscriminately affects everything around. Yeah, she tear. I can see her tearing up. Doing like Jesus did. Everything's got to go down.
Yeah.
Tear up everything. Whip the animals. Everybody's getting whipped.
And within the movie you see that you see this concept, and the role reversal is it was very interesting to me because the evil person on this movie, the Maleficent, the first part. On the first part, well, the first, on both of them, the evil person is always being represented by the king, by the king and queen that are in the castle. Now, Maleficent is always in the forest, all right, and she
Mhm.
protects nature, all right. So within protecting nature, she's always wearing black. And when they present these kings and queens, not only are they always most of the time wearing white, but they are also of a light complexion. So we've always been given this association of white means good and dark means evil, and because of that, that explains some things, Music Land. That's interesting. um, so we see that concept of role reversal that they gave in this because Maleficent is obviously the good guy in this movie, and just like she could create life, she's the one that makes the flowers blossom just by a hand gesture. At the same time, she's the one that makes a wall of thorns block and separate the kingdom of the palace from nature because they were trying to come over there and take the fairies and take the unicorns and everything that was within the forest, the enchanted forest. They were trying to destroy it because they were afraid of it, or whatever. And she was always the one they called upon for for when they needed, whether it be something to be created or destroyed, which gives us that correlation in between both of them. You want to add something else, sis?
No, actually, I'm good. Following along,
Okay,
watching the chat.
right. So secluded in nature, all right, because they're both presenting themselves as a seclusion within nature, right? It says that in an uncommon war among women, Maleficent fights for the protection of her daughter, hence ready to burn down all anything in her path. Due to this hot energy exhumed by Ogun, same as Maleficent, they both have the power to instantaneously create and also destroy. Nature, too, has been a fundamental part of the development of the tales. For Ogun to exist in peace, he secludes himself from the people, living at the top of a hill while hunting to survive, therefore having dominion over the forest. This is also relatable of Maleficent, who also lives in the same life of seclusion like a hermit in the forest. The duality of Ogun and Maleficent is unmistakable, as well as the symbolic use of color they share in common. Traditionally, Ogun's colors are green, red, and black.
Mm,
And black being one of the colors of Ogun, Maleficent wears it well along with her green aura that she's always emitting.
mm.
All right. So we do
So,
see that correlation. Go ahead, sis.
so is this how they show her through the movie with this green aura showing?
Yes. As a matter of fact, when she goes, because the child was born because Maleficent is the story of the story of Snow White is the one with the apple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the story of Maleficent is what happened to Snow White before she was older. So when she was a kid, where she came from and everything else. She's the one that touches the spindle and falls asleep. All right. This
Mm.
is that's the story that so because they don't invite her, they don't invite Maleficent to the christening of this child. She shows up anyways, and she shows up in this aura, this green aura that's
Right.
embracing the whole palace. And she walks in because there's some fairies that are casting their blessings on the thing, and she comes in like, I have a blessing too.
So, um, she obviously is sometimes good and sometimes bad. So, does her aura ever change colors? Since she's also representing Ogun's colors, which are green, red, and black.
Right, within the movie, you only see it red when she's infuriated.
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So when she, if she's walking around in green, then you probably can reason with her, huh?
Right. No, but I am so glad you said that because when she went up there, the king and queen tried to stop her, but she was like, nah. She's like, what them other fairy said, yeah, you're gonna be beautiful, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, Sleeping Beauty. But upon your 15th birthday, you should come upon a spindle where you shall touch, and you will come into a deep sleep that nobody can ever awaken you from. And
Mm,
everybody's like, "Oh my God!" Oh, and so and then the king, the fairies tell her, that to please, be kind to her. It's not her fault what's happening. So that's when she states,
mm-hmm,
"Generous," So I'm gonna, so there is a way to wake up the princess. The only
mm-hmm,
way to wake her up is with true love's first kiss,
mm-hmm.
and with that kiss is what how we know that she's awakened in the whole Sleeping Beauty story or whatever.
Right.
But she in this movie Maleficent, true love's first kiss comes from Maleficent herself. It's not a Prince Charming that comes and
Right.
she wakes up. No, in Maleficent is Maleficent herself that she regrets doing what she did so much that she goes up to her while she's sleeping and kisses her on the forehead and tells her, she calls her, she usually calls her something, my little puppet or my little something or whatever, whatever she calls her, she mentions that name and kisses her on the forehead, and a tear falls on her face, and then she wakes up and she's like, "Hey, fairy godmother," and she's like, "Damn." So true love's for kids came from
Mhm.
her. She loved the girl, or whatever. So there is this mother-daughter concept that they brought into that. I think it was a cool movie. And when I made the association with this with Ogun, it kind of like baffled me. So
Mm-hmm.
anything else is
Now I'm just looking at her demeanor.
yeah, right.
What all she got going on over there? She don't look nice. If I was to run up on her, I would probably cross the street or something. She's got those long ass horns,
Right.
you know.
That concludes Ogun, and my attempt to associate. There's a picture of her how she looks in the movie,
Mm.
and she's
Yeah,
always
same thing,
yeah.
except her face is right now.
Right, you will not be approaching.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's look into in Oya, all right, because Oya is the goddess of thunder, all right, and
Yeah.
and she brings us another concept as well. So you want to take?
Right. because there's a god of thunder, and now Oya is the goddess of thunder.
Ooh, let's find out why
Yes.
the goddess of thunder. Let's find out about why these Orishas have so much in common with humans. Sis, you want to take
Yes,
this, please?
absolutely. So the Orisha with the connection between the living and the dead is none other than Oya, a favored lover of Shango. Oya can control lightning, hail, tornadoes, and more to fight her adversaries. During the transition from this carnal realm into the spiritual, it will be Oya who is there when you take your last breath. She represents change and brings upon transition, even if a human being didn't ask for it. She's the most aggressive female Orisha, a fierce warrior and staunch protector of women who appeal to her to resolve disputes. So she can be found beside Shango's side on the battlefield using lightning and two swords. Shango chooses her to fight by his side because of her role in rescuing him from all other Orishas. Tale tells that Shango had a love for seducing other Orishas' wives till one night at a celebration, the other Orishas captured Shango, locked him up, and threw away the key. But Oya had a vision of the events, so she sent forward lightning bolts to break the cell bars that broke Shango free, and she summoned a storm to ride in to rescue him. That's what I'm talking about. Go get your man.
So Mr. Steal Your Girl decides that he wants to have at it with his sisters, with his sister-in-law. You
Mhm.
know, with his brother's wives. You know, he just if he wants it, he gotta have her. You know, or type stuff. And
Mhm.
because of doing what he was doing, he got caught. And
Right.
and they threw away the key on his ass. But Oya had a vision of this, and she rescued his ass from that cell that he was never gonna get out of. You know, so
Mhm.
he holds her dear. You know, but there is more to the story than what we're told. So let's look
Yeah.
deep into this. Let's look.
I just want to say Shango should have expected that they were going to jump him one day or do something to him one day. And they probably used to tell him all the time, slow your roll.
We gonna get you.
Okay.
We gonna get you.
Yeah. And then he probably was thinking all the time, if they do try to do something, I got my goddess Oya looking out for me. So he still didn't even learn his lesson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a hard head if I ever seen one, you know. But let's look further, you know, into the whole Oya and Shango and why I used to say I got Shango and Oya by each other. They love being by each other.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
love
Exactly.
being by each other, right?
Mhm.
Homie the clown in the building, peace and love to you. He says, laughing my ass off at Mr. Celia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I got that concept from the sister on the channel that I mentioned earlier. What's her name again, sis?
Black Witch Yaya.
Black Witch Yaya. Go check out her channel. She makes a mention of that, and I was like, that's him. And Mrs. Steal Your Girl. What better way? What other better way to to define them? Shango's a player. Those are facts. Those are facts.
Player, player.
You know, he play a player from the Himalaya. Don't give a flicky flick.
Okay.
But looking further, you know, if you hear the thunder, that is Oya
Okay.
you're listening to, right? So
Yes.
the magical pot.
Let's go.
Let's talk about the magical pot, all right? So within the magical pot, it says Oya was one of Ogun's first wives. But
Mm.
Shango, being the richer version of Mr. Steal Your Girl, upon seeing her, he knew immediately that he had to have her. Once we understand the relationship between Shango, Ogun, and Oya, we can comprehend the why Oya is who she is in her latter and present years. From the start, regardless of her mate, she was always very cunning, conniving, the leader, and must be informed of everything. So upon Shango taking her and bringing her to his home, she immediately began to wander about to get fully acquainted with Shango's house and what he was all about. During her snooping, she came across this weird yet simple magical pot, but she was unaware it was magical. Within it, a mixture of some kind that she did not hesitate to taste. Immediately, she realized the mixture was the secret behind Shango's lightning and thunder, a well kept secret that had now given her the domain over thunder. So now we know why she is known as the goddess of thunder. All right. That's how she came to her powers. All
She
right.
stole his recipe.
She stole his recipe, sis. She stole his
Mhm.
recipe, you know, and not only that, but if she was so quick to realize it, and there's
Right.
different versions of of how she came about, her powers or whatever, but it does involve that pot, that magical pot that she came across or whatever. You want to add something else, sis?
Yeah. It also explains why Ogun was so anti-sociable. He was married to Oya, who obviously be going over other people's house by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it was her first wife, meaning he divorced her or got rid of her or had other wives after her. And so this might be why he was so feared by people and had a temper and stay off to himself, just messing around with his iron and cutting down things. He's probably heartbroken by Oya. That's what I see.
Most definitely, most definitely.
Mhm.
So let us move forward to a little bit further into the story. All right, because the goddess of the Niger River is very, very important. You want to take this one, sis?
Sure. So there is a New World translation of that story in which Shango got caught flirting with Oshun, which made Oya so enraged that she ran to the magical pot and purposefully tasted from it so that she could acquire Shango's powers to defeat him. The acquisition of extra power is what evolved her from the Orisha of the last breath to the goddess of thunder. So their relationship was what we would call today is complicated status. If we recall from Shango's story, it was Oya, the wife, that suggested that Gabonka and Timmy duel to the death because she was convinced that one day they might challenge Shango for his throne. She witnessed the results of her manipulation by finding Shango hanging from a tree. She was devastated and drowned herself at the Niger River. Mm.
Facts.
What a sad story.
Yes, yes, a dramatic story, sis. A dramatic story. Where first of all, we got to remember that it was Oya, but I didn't mention her in back then because I wanted to wait until this time. So when we remember the story of Gabanka and Timmy, is when we're talking
Mhm.
about how Gabonka defeated Timmy, and he told Shango, like, bro, you just had me battle this dude so we could kill each other, but if I kill him, you're next, and he
Oh,
issued a challenge to Shango, and Shango was like, how dare you, after he won, he was like, how dare you, and he sent him to go get burned alive. But 3 days later, from
mhm.
burn, he resurrected and came back to life and came to the village and told Shango to vacate the premises.
Yep.
So
Mm.
there we see, that Oya, she been starting some stuff since a while. The concept.
And yeah, I want to point out with you just bringing that back. Um, these guys surely don't mind moving on to the next life.
Yeah.
Obviously, their bodies are not immortal, just as ours are not immortal. Our bodies aren't. But if you know or looking forward to what your next life might be, it wouldn't be no problem to say, you know what, I'm out of here. And then if you have full memory, like if you were thought or something, and had full memory of your past life, and know that I got 1,000 lives. Like why am I, game over, I'm out of here. That's what Oya did it, because surely, like in real life, you can get over a broken heart. You can get over losing somebody. But these guys here, they just say, I'm out of here. I'm gonna hang myself. I'm gonna
Mhm.
just go. Oya drowned herself, which is like probably one of the worst ways to die. I mean, all ways to die are bad, but drowning is probably, I would, I would say, only thing I probably would fear more than drowning is burning.
Burning alive. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I would.
Hanging, that's self-inflicted, really.
Yeah.
So Shango hung himself, Oya drowned herself, and knowing that these spirits are probably returning as Orishas. That's probably why there's so many. They keep reincarnating themselves back to their origin as being one of those gods.
Yeah,
You
most
know,
definitely. So it was a joy to read all these stories, and just come to the conclusions that you come once you get to comprehend the storyline behind it.
mhm,
It was like you wrap yourself around in these books, and
right?
try to think of, like, man, like, did these things literally take place like this or whatever? And you start questioning a lot of things, because just like the Bible makes you question things,
Mhm,
there is all books are
right,
to to pick at your brain, to pick at your mind, by
right,
telling you stories, and there's very eloquent people out there that that they
right.
can bring about a
And so,
very
and
great
so, yeah, and so it's just a matter of what type of allegories you like, which as the allegories get more and more creative, they seem to be sticking to the same lessons, so to speak, or morals of the story. What's the moral of the story? It seemed like, no matter what the religion, no matter what the allegory, no matter what the deity, they seem to stay pretty close together. Yeah.
most definitely, so there's a building block that you could use, and these books that I have right here, like I said, I'm not maybe I am advertising for them, and who cares? I don't know them, but they're all melanated writers, for with the exception of Julio Garcia. The other three books, Julio is Cuban, as well. And I'm not saying he's not melanated, but he's the only one that has a little bit more connection towards the so-called Latino or Hispanic culture or whatever. But the
Mhm.
other three books are, from three black authors. So support our people and make sure that you, if you want to, go check out the books. In my opinion, I'm
For
not telling.
sure, for sure, for sure.
Um, moving forward, Christina teaches us if you commit suicide, you won't see God, but these guys be offing themselves. That's a great point.
Right.
Like God, for real. Like it's like it couldn't get,
Okay.
it can't get any more obvious. You want to add on that, sis?
He's definitely right. He's definitely right. And and there'd probably be a lot more suicide if they didn't teach that. So there's some good things about Christianity as well as some bad things. I just happen to I'm the type of person I just want it all to be good. I want everything to be good. And I believe if there ever was a golden age or a golden era, it probably was the reverse side of what we're seeing now, which is pretty much a lot of greed going on, a lot of evil, a lot of demonizing going on. So, yeah, that's one of the good things I could say about Christianity. They cut down on the suicide rate. Thank you, Music Clan, for pointing that out.
Most definitely, most definitely. So that's that concept, and which is gonna bring us, to the grand finale, which we're gonna look into the aspect of these triple goddesses, because we keep hearing about Oya, Oshun, Yamaya, and this triple goddess uh, 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 storyline, and I want to say storyline, but this representation of nature that they bring us through this goddess, is found everywhere. It's found everywhere. It predates all the other patriarchal
Mm.
um, stories that they present to us throughout time, and it's good to look into it. Nathaniel Bray, I appreciate you, bro, for sticking around so long. To the presentation, we are at 2.5 hours. This is the last live, so I appreciate everybody for joining us, and encourage you guys to please like, subscribe, and
that definitely was your cue, Taz.
the peace and love, to the people that have
I was just wondering if you had cut that picture of the triple goddess out into like,
oh yeah, I told you I was gonna end it
let's
with a
take a look at that up close right before we go away. Because
yeah.
they look like they mean some business.
Yes, I want you to take the opportunity and read the last slide with us as we
Yes,
see gorgeous beauty that's presented to us with this triple goddesses of Oyo, Shun, and Yamaya. Go ahead, sis.
yes, sir. So Oya is the oldest sister to the goddesses Oshun and Yamaya. She is believed to be the crown characteristic of this triple goddess trio. As a crony goddess, she is a teacher of reality and a source of justice. We find this triple goddess concept to predate most patriarchal gods of today. So, from the earliest of ages, the concept of the great goddess was a trinity and the model for all subsequent trinities, female, male, or mixed. So, Anatolian villages in the 7th millennium BC worshiped a goddess in three aspects: as a young woman, a birth given matron, and an old woman. So, this typical virgin mother crony combination was Parvati, Durga, Uma, and Kali, or India. The Anna bagged Makcha or Maka is the Moringa in Ireland, or in Greece, the Hebe Hera Hecate, and that's the three Moirae, the three Gorgons, the three Graeae, or the three Horae, etc.
Facts. So we see this triple goddess concept, sis,
Yes,
all over the place. Everywhere we turn, everywhere we look, we find this concept, sis, of this triple goddess. Whether is if you going to India and looking at Uma, better known as Kali, along with Parvati and Durga, or if you're looking at the Morgans in Ireland,
Hmm.
if you're looking at Heavy, Harry, and Hecate, that's the Trinity in Greece, which was also what predates all this patriarchal new deities that they've given us, and that concept is been it's been demonized to the point that today we have a lot of people that if you speak on the fact that that something predates the patriarchal concept with a matriarchal concept, some people have a serious problem with that, and
That's right.
everybody's entitled to their opinion, but facts are facts, and
Mm.
I can't deny truth. I can't deny truth. So
That's right. And I always love to say that truth has got a resonant frequency. That means when you hear it, it's going to resonate with you. That's how you know it's the truth. It's
right,
a eureka moment. A light bulb should turn on, and all kinds of stuff should happen when you're hearing the truth. Even if it's truth that you knew already, it's still going to have an effect when you hear somebody else saying. It's not just only verification, but it's a resonant frequency.
most definitely, definitely. I mean, I hope people enjoyed the presentation. I put a lot of time into this presentation. It took two
Of
different
course.
parts, and as you could see, it's the first one took about 2.5 hours, and this one did the same. You know what I mean? I'm so glad that this time there wasn't no because last time you had real bad
Oh
connections.
my God.
We
Yeah.
didn't have you for the first half of the show. I was looking at you in the chat room, and I was like, oh my god, I know she want to be up here. You know what I mean?
Yes. And so just to let you know, Jillian did message me and say once again that she appreciate us so much. Okay. And then she wants me to just tag her page. But yeah, Taz, you really been doing it. You really been doing it with these PowerPoints, and you seem to automatically know what we want to hear, what we want to learn. You fill in a lot of puzzles when you do what you do. And just like Jillian, I appreciate you too.
I appreciate you. Sis. I appreciate you taking so much time, almost 3 hours out your day. Everybody here, for all those that are gonna see us in the future,
Hmm.
whether it be through Facebook, whether it be through YouTube, leave us a comment, share the information, and I'm always looking forward for any comment. If you didn't like it, tell me that you didn't like it. Let me know why. Maybe I could improve better on something that that is more eye candy for you. Because without you guys, we are nothing. We do this for our people. To
Right.
show and present factual information so we could all grow. Because that is, that's what it takes a village, and in order to have growth, the whole village got to grow along. So I appreciate you. So I love you. Thank you so much for everything. The sister Aisha said she loves the visuals and colors. I'm
Yes.
putting it out there, sis. To everybody that views this, I do have the ability to come up with these things. I'm still learning. So if you are looking for a specific something like the sisters press intro that I presented, that I created for her, all the visuals that you've seen, I'm a very visual person. When I read, I don't want to just see words. I want to see movement. I want to see expression. I want to see a face. I want to see something that gets me into the mood, because just looking at words is not enough for me. You know, So so what you call it? So it's a very good feeling to know that something turns out well. It's always available. So hit me up if you need somebody's stuff um put together for you guys. You know, and it'll be something that I'll be more than glad to give for you guys. Any any ending remarks, sis, that you might wanna add?
Actually, everything that you said, and especially to the chat, but hanging in here with us. We know that it's long and drawn out because these are allegories. These are complete stories with histories, hopefully, so that you can understand how these guys work or how these deities work. And keeping in mind that all of these allegories we should be getting a lesson out of. So thanks again, Taz, for making us think, about more than just one version of how things happen, making us go in and explore and stretch our minds.
Most definitely.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Appreciate you sticking around with me that long. With that said, we're gonna leave you guys. We appreciate you guys for everything that we've done. Please be sure to share, to like, and subscribe if you haven't. You know, and leave me some details. We appreciate you guys, and we're gonna leave you guys the same way that we came to you guys. In peace.
Peace and love. Yes.